Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel and to another day of this 30-day challenge. It's coming towards an end. It's not at its end yet. We still have a couple of weeks, a week and a half maybe left of the challenge. Today I just really wanted to talk about something. I just spent the last few days at Comic-Con and like just in general working all over London. Something I noticed a lot as I was walking around the city, as I was getting on trains. I used public transport because I can't drive and I don't want to drive in London. Just in general, and it's something I'd noticed before, but it's not something that ever really bothered me and not something I'd ever really thought too much about until recently. Like this week especially, I felt like it really got intense, but it is people staring at me. I know I've spoken about this in a lot of different countries because I find it fascinating in each place to see how people receive different types of people that they're not used to seeing. I've spoken about it in Korea because I found it fascinating because obviously, you know, not used to seeing people of different cultures, so staring was obviously a factor there that I expected. And then in Canada I got a lot of stares because there aren't really many black people in Vancouver, so people were like fascinated and they stared a lot, and I didn't really like that. As one of the things I really kind of disliked about Vancouver was just being stared at constantly. Everywhere I went I felt like I was like under freaking 24-hour CCTV surveillance, and that's not a nice feeling, you know. I feel like someone who hasn't experienced that will never understand, and that's why people don't get it when I say it. And I've noticed it happening a lot here in London, the place where I grew up, where I never ever was stared at as a child or as even an adult. Like growing up here, it was not really a thing that happened a lot here, but over the last 5 years, I guess the multiculturalism has changed in a different way. I think there are a lot more people from other countries around Europe that are here now that aren't used to seeing people of colour, and so they stare because it's like, whoa. And I've got a couple of theories behind it, but I'm just going to explain why I just made this video today. So I was sitting on the train, right, on the Hammersmith and City line. I was going to work, and I could see out the peripherals of my eyes. I was standing by the door, leaning, because I usually sit in the 2-seat area. I always stay in like the area where there aren't a lot of people in general, which it might sound weird, but it's just like I just want to do my thing without having to, you know, make eye contact with people. It's awkward. So I was like just leaning against the wall because there are no seats, and there's this guy sitting in like the 2-seat place where I always want to sit, and I could see him in my peripherals just like looking at me. Didn't acknowledge it because I'm used to like that, like, you know, there's sometimes it's just when you see people on the street in general, you just give them that one look, like kind of like acknowledgement that someone's there. But this is a packed train. So then I'm still standing there, I'm like leaning against the wall, and the trains are going past, train stops are going. I'm like 3 stops later, this guy's still looking at me. Like every couple of minutes he will turn and he like stare at me. Like I can feel it and I can see it because I'm facing this way, he's facing that way, and his head is turned and he's looking at me. And I can see it in the corner of my eye. It's not very hard to see. And I just get to this point where I'm just like almost snapping, and I literally turn to this guy and I just stare him in the face. I've never done this. I don't do this. I've heard people who do this all the time. They just like, they wave at them or they smile. But this, I turned and I just stared at him and I blinked a lot. And he had the cheek to stare me in the face, like, right? He just like stared at me too for a good couple of seconds, and then he looked away. Like he was what's the word? What's that word? Not contending me, you know what I mean though, right? Like he was like challenging me. Like he's like, oh, we'll see who can stare the longest then. Like, what the hell? Why are you staring at me in the first place? And it's so funny because I have this theory. I think it's because of my hair, because I think when I have my hair like either like straight or long or something like that, no one ever looks, not that no one ever looks at me, but I don't get stared at as much as when my hair is natural. And I didn't even wear this today. My hair was just like up in a band like this, but without my headscarf. It was just weird, and I don't know, I've noticed it a lot, and it's happening more and more, and it bothers me a bit. I'm trying not to let it bother me because it's not an issue. I remember on my video in Canada I wrote that and everyone was like, it's because you're so pretty. It's not that. I don't think that's what it is. Maybe in Canada, I don't know, but here it's not that. Like the look is, you know, the look of you're pretty and the look of you're strange. Like That guy was giving me your strange look. There was no smiles, there's nothing. It was just that plain face, you know, look. He kind of looked like a gangster. But yeah, anyways, staying in London, I don't know. Do any of you live in the UK or in England or in Europe and are of colour, or notice that you've been stared at? Maybe you're not even of colour, and you get stared at. And I find that people like kind of treat me kind of funny too. It's a really weird thing. I want to make a whole video on it, but I just kind of wanted to open up the discussion about this. But yeah, this is kind of like maybe an introduction to it, because I think I want to, what's the word, feel it out a little bit more and see, maybe ask some people as well. And I'd love to hear like your like thoughts on this and being stared at, and what country you're from, and if you ever experience it, and does it annoy you? Does it annoy you? Because in Korea it didn't annoy me, and I explained this in my Canadian video about being black in Canada, and no one got it. Or not no one got it, but a lot of people like, you shouldn't just be like, it's okay because they're Asian and they're from Asia. I'm like, well, they're in a country where predominantly they're only Asian people, and not only just Asian people, only Korean people. And so I got it, you know. It was like a weird exotic thing, like, you know. And in China the same thing, I got it, but it still kind of made me mad because they kept pulling my hair. I just wanted to open this conversation up, and I'd love to like hear your thoughts on this, because that guy really annoyed me. Because it was just so, it was rude. It's rude, and I feel like it should be common knowledge everywhere that staring is rude. And I'm sure they know this. I'm sure people know this. Why do people have to stare? I don't know, because then I always like wonder, like, is there something on my face? And I've got my mirror all the time. I'm checking my mirror constantly because I feel like there's something on my face, because people keep staring at me. So I'm like, there's got to be something on my face. I have boogers in my nose, or my hair's going flying out here and here. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. And so please comment below on your experiences. Give this a thumbs up if you'd like to hear more about this, and maybe do a part 2 where I actually really go into detail about my experiences in London so far, and how they've changed from when I was growing up, because it's very different. Yeah, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you hit the notification button down below so that you get these videos coming towards you so you can see them, and also subscribe if you're not subscribed and you're new here. And feel free to check out my other videos and my Korean merch art sort of thing that I created. That will all be linked here now. 안녕.